Good freezing morning to you. It's actually, we're up to 5 degrees. That's great. Fahrenheit for those who are in other parts of the world. Got to go to the Philippines last night. I had a really quick trip. Didn't get to see many sights because I wasn't there very long and I didn't get out of the computer. So my my dear brother and apostle Dion is from South Africa, but he's in the Philippines right now, and I joined him live on his nightly devotion. Or well, it's a night for us. It's his morning devotion in the Philippines. So I already did. I'm a day ahead, right? Or a day behind. I don't know, but it was really nice to get to share with him, and very, very, very welcoming, and just he's just an outstanding guy. I just really enjoyed it. Just a wonderful man of God that I'm getting to know, and I hope there'll be a lot more opportunities. I'm hoping to have him as a guest. Haven't told him yet. When I start on my Thursday nights this year, that's one of the things I want to do is have some different guests share different things. So he's on my list of invitees, right? And so I hope to do that pretty soon. I do have my house warm. My heater is holding a balmy 65 degrees. And if you know me, that's really cold for me. So that's why I'm a little bit late. I did not want to get out from under my electric blanket because I was warm. And I've been up since 4, got 2 projects done. Yeah, 2 projects done. So I, I've had a profitable day. Oh, that's not the right word. I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, um, I got a little bit of things done, right? So I'm really happy with that. So, I've been doing a lot of thinking since yesterday, and with this cold front, we had this Siberian front like this, I think 2 years ago, and it was almost identical except it lasted a whole lot longer. Now, thankfully, this 5 degrees is just going to go up from here, and it's going to be uh, in the teens today. Woohoo! And then it's not going to bottom out so much tonight. Hopefully, my heater will at least hold that 65, and I'm going to try to baby it up a little bit higher. I've got the fire going, I've got the oven going, I got the stove going, I got the dryer going. I ain't got nothing else to wash because I've been keeping my dryer going. But from last year, whenever it was, 18 months ago or so, whenever we had the last Siberian cold front, I learned some stuff, right? I knew that the patio door in my kitchen was a big leaker, so I put the heaviest blanket on there, and that has made a huge difference. Last year I had sheets and put all kinds of stuff, but it just took one heavy blanket. I also knew to put it on the inside of the blinds this time. It was a little bit different, so I changed that up. I knew in Chris's room we changed his. I knew to get the air conditioner out of the window because that was a big leak last year. Got both air conditioners out because the air conditioning doesn't work here either. So, but anyway, some apartment, right? Anyway, and so I got those out. That made a huge difference. Chris's window is covered now because of the sun that comes in. That made a huge difference. So all these little things I learned from 18 months ago, right? Productive. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Jeannie. Productive and profitable, but productive. That was what I was looking for. Anyway, so yeah, I learned all these little tricks from last time when it was this cold. And so I knew what to do this time. And so my question today in today's devotion to you is, what have we learned? Right, we've been doing this for, it'll be 3 years in March. We started in 2020, right? And at the very beginning of the pandemic, we were all scared, not sure what was going on, and I had a big viewership there. I'd have 200 or 300 a day back then, 150 or so. Now it's dropped down to about 30 or so. But you know what? I don't care if it's just one person. If somebody is getting a little bit of something out of it, that's good for me. Half the time, I'm the one getting something out of it because I'll say something that's encouraging or something I hadn't thought of. So anyway, so as we've been doing this, we've been learning how do we apply what we've learned, right? Last year when it was so cold, this year I knew where the trouble spots were. I knew where I needed to make sure it was covered. Right? I knew that was that front patio was the worst spot. Next time it'll be this one. I'll make sure this one gets covered. But I've just got a little sheet thrown up over there now. But I knew because I had been through something similar. Well, as we begin to apply what we learn from the scriptures to our lives, and we go through new things, because new things come just about every day, right? We go through new things, then we know how to apply that scripture. Things get out of hand. For me, one thing I've learned is how to kick into that peace and step into that peace a little bit quicker. As soon as my peace seems like it leaked out, I go, whoa, hold up, where did that go? And then what got me off? How do I fix it? Get back around here. And I'm quicker to say, this is not helping me maintain God's peace in my heart. This is interrupting my ability to let his peace reign. So I either need to move it out, right? Get rid of it, replace it, change what I'm doing, whatever. I've learned that when something disrupts that peace, I want to get rid of that disruptor, right? Or remedy the situation, especially if it's a person. You don't want to get rid of the person, right? Although it is good to get out of toxic relationships. But and to not let them drag you down. And so we've learned how to, hopefully, I've learned how to apply letting his peace reign in my heart and recognizing when something disrupts it. Maybe I've learned, through the storms of life, we learn to rely on him more. It's those storms and trials and tribulations and the hard part, the hard parts of life that help us get out of the boat and walk on the water. Peter it wouldn't have been any big deal. Well, it would have kind of been a big deal if he'd walked on the water even without a storm, but he wouldn't have even thought about it. He'd just gone, hey, Jesus, how you doing? Come on over in the boat. He wouldn't have even thought about it. He was so scared. He wanted out of that boat and he wanted to be with Jesus, right? And so he says, if it's you, let me come. And Jesus said, come on. And so he jumps out of the boat. He probably wouldn't have thought about that had there not been a storm. We wouldn't have so many stories in the Bible if there hadn't been troubles going on. And so we learn from their struggles. We learn from Joseph's faith, just holding on to God's promise all those years in the prison. We learn from Job's faith in the middle, how he trusted God and worshiped God in the middle of all of his struggles that all just kind of exploded and imploded on him in a day. His whole empire he had built was gone. His children were gone. His money was gone. Everything was gone. Except his 3 friends who came and sat quietly for 7 days, and that was the best thing they ever did. We learned that silence is really golden sometimes, right? And so we learn through our struggles. We learn how to run to God faster is something I've kind of learned over the years. Rather than trying to figure it out myself first, I can go, whoa, I don't know what to do with this. God, show me some wisdom. Give me some wisdom on this. Give me some direction. How do I handle this? How do I navigate through these troubled waters? What's the best remedy here? What's the best solution? How can I do this? You'll give me some help, God. So I run to my help faster. So I've learned things. So my question to you is, what have you learned over the last almost 3 years? Drop it in the chat there if you've learned anything, just about letting the God's peace reign in your heart, or trusting him a little bit more, or how you actually do have faith, whatever it is. Or if you don't want to put it out publicly, send me a message and just go, hey, over the last 3 years I've learned this, or this is where I've grown. Maybe it's an area you've grown in that you hadn't even realized you've been growing in. Growing and growing are 2 different things. But maybe it's an area you haven't realized there's been growth, right? And so I just encourage you to take a few minutes today, this morning, and just go think about your relationship with God and how has it changed? How is it changing? Because it should always be changing. A relationship you don't just establish a relationship and go, oh, we did that. All right, we're done, right? We establish a relationship, and then we have something even more to build on. Then the next year, you know each other better, and the next year, you know each other even better. You've grown, and you can think for each other almost, and you know what to expect, from the other person and from yourself. And so our relationship with God is the same way. It should be growing constantly. It should be changing because it gets more what's the right word, solidified, right? We're more cemented together with him. Our hearts are more joined with him as we know him more and let him know us more. He knows us, but there's that letting in there again of, it's okay for you to see my heart, God. That trust level gets deeper and broader and better, right? In any relationship. And so I just encourage you to take a few minutes to just reflect on maybe how you've grown this year spiritually, naturally, grown a little bit naturally, how we've grown, maybe ways we've changed, maybe ways we think a little better, maybe ways we're a little quicker to trust him with things, How have you grown this year? What have you learned? Because once you learn something, you can apply it. You see, until you learn how to add, you can't actually add numbers, right? And then you learn how to add, then you can add little numbers. And then you once you get really good at adding little numbers, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 1 is 3. Now you can add bigger numbers, 25 and 30 is 55. And then when you get that down and you can carry that 10 and regroup those tens over there, then you can add bigger numbers. And when you get really good at adding, you can grow into multiplying, because multiplication is just repeated addition, right? Don't get me started on math. I love math, right? So then you've got multiplication, you've got subtraction, you've got division, and as you develop those math skills, you can do bigger and better things, right? Until eventually you could be an engineer if you want to. And there's all kinds of different engineers to be, if you can get past the calculus. I did not like calculus, by the way. But anyhow, I made it 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't like it. And so my whole point is that in the Word we learn things and then we apply them, and then as we apply them, then more things make sense. We can step out on more things. We can understand more things, and we begin to understand Him in a new depths, right? And so we have the skill set. It's because trusting Him is a skill. It takes faith, but we learn how to do it. We learn how to cast our cares on Him. We read the Scripture. We can memorize the Scripture, but it doesn't do us a whole lot of good until we can apply it, till we can go cast all our cares on Him. Okay, God, I'm giving you this because it's too much for me. And I'm going to give you this. Show me what to do. Give me your wisdom. Give me direction. Give me the truth in this matter, because I don't know how to handle it. So I'm going to give my cares to you and let you do the caring. And I'm just going to the only letting I'm going to do is letting your peace reign in your heart. But that's a skill too, letting His peace reign, right? Because things disrupt it, like we started at the first of this broadcast. And so we want to develop those skills. So what skills have you developed as far as your relationship with God this year? Just think about it. Just think about what you've learned, how you apply it now, and maybe even think about how you want to grow next year. I want to know God more next year. I want to trust Him more. That probably means more troubles, right? Because when there's troubles, we learn to trust Him faster, right? It gets easier to run to Him the more we know Him, the more we know about Him, the more we understand His ways and not just what He does, right? Although what He does is wonderful, right? We know His ways. We know Him as a person. Now we can trust Him more quickly. We can trust Him more fully, right? We can go a lot deeper in our hearts and just go, you can just have it all, God. You can just have all of me. I trust you with everything today, right? So what have you learned? Let me know. Let me know if what you've learned this year. It doesn't have to be through this broadcast, of course. You may not have learned nothing here. That's okay. But what have you learned about God and your relationship, and what skills maybe are you working on, or whatever? Just take some time for reflection and prayer and meditation on that today, and shoot me a message or drop it in the chat if you're comfortable leaving it publicly, and maybe I'll drop a few things in there myself, right? Have a great day, you guys. Peace out. Why? Because He is the Prince of Peace. Oh, I want to read this scripture real quick. Yesterday I was studying for the broadcast last night in Isaiah 9. 6, it says, a good Christmas scripture here. For to us a son, for a child is born to us, New Living Translation. A son is given to us, and the government will rest on His shoulders. These will be His royal titles. Wonderful Counselor. That's an awesome title. Mighty God. Yeah, that's the one. We have a relationship with the mighty God, the only mighty God. Everlasting Father. He never clocks out and says, I ain't gonna be your daddy no more, right? The Prince of Peace. Listen to this. His ever expanding, peaceful government will never end. I love that. I read that in the New Living yesterday, and I was like, oh my goodness. I meditated on it all afternoon. His ever expanding, peaceful government will never end. And it starts right here. It reigns in us. We can live in that peaceful government. We can live by that rule of peace because He is the Prince of Peace. And He came to earth so that we could have His peace living in our hearts. Let His peace reign today. Peace out. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.